And we're here now with Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. Senator Vance, it's been 2 weeks since President Biden dropped out of this presidential race.
Sure.
In that time, Kamala Harris has taken over as the nominee of the Democrat Party, now officially after this weekend. She hasn't done any interviews, though. She's been avoiding the press.
Yep.
A lot of people saying she's running the basement campaign Joe Biden ran in 2020.
That's exactly right.
How does the Trump-Vance campaign re-strategize how to go after a candidate that simply won't talk to the media?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, we just have to tell the truth, right? The truth is she is the architect of the failed border policies. She's the architect of the policies that sent grocery prices and housing prices through the roof. She owns every one of Joe Biden's failures. And I think that we have to make this race about, if you give Kamala Harris a promotion, she's going to continue and, in fact, double down on some of the most left-wing policies that have failed the country and failed to deliver prosperity for our citizens. Now, that's an easy argument for us to make. We just have to pound the pavement over the next 93 days and make sure the American people know the basic truth. Now, there's another important truth, of course, which is that Donald Trump did deliver peace and prosperity when he was president of the United States. So it's a really easy contrast here. But you're right. Kamala Harris is avoiding the media. I think the media, by the way, not you guys, of course, but they should be ashamed of themselves because she won't answer a question. I think she gave one unscripted answer to a question a day ago, and it was so embarrassing that they stuck her in the basement again. But that's not a good thing for the American people, to have a presidential candidate who doesn't talk to them and doesn't actually answer some tough questions.
She will need a VP pick.
She will.
We'll finalize that this weekend, we think. We're in a swing state, Georgia, another swing state, Pennsylvania. A lot of people think it's going to be the governor of that state, Josh Shapiro. Now, you've called him, essentially, he has a bad impression of Barack Obama. Now, he's fired back at you, saying you are the most inorganic candidate he's ever seen on the national stage. He's called you a phony baloney. His answer, not mine. What do you say to the governor of Pennsylvania? You might see on a debate stage in not too long from now.
Well, look, I think the phony candidate in this race is Kamala Harris, who's changed her mind on every single issue she's held for the last 4 years. She said she wanted to ban fracking. Now she says she doesn't, of course, because it's politically unpopular. She said she wanted to fund the police. Now she's running away from that. The phoniness here is at the top of the Democratic ticket, and no matter how much these guys try to run from Kamala Harris's record, the policy record is a failure, and she's fundamentally a fake person who doesn't have any beliefs. That's why she won't answer any tough questions. I think the difference between Kamala Harris and me and Donald Trump is we will go anywhere. You saw it with the president at the National Association of Black Journalists. We will answer any question because we think the American people, agree or disagree, they deserve to have their leaders actually talk to them and talk about why they think they're better leaders for the country.
I want to talk about Social Security tax cuts, the Trump Social Security tax cuts, also no tax on tips. These are a couple programs folks on the left say, look, we're already in $35 trillion worth of debt. These won't work. How are we going to pay for it? And when it comes to tax on tips in particular, is there a ceiling on those folks who are, let's say, a hedge fund manager making $1 million a year who wants to allocate part of their income, saying, no, that's actually tips that I'm making? Is there, how do you guardrail against that?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the budgetary hit is actually substantially smaller than a lot of left-wing programs, which are basically just giveaways to interest groups, paying people not to work, sending a lot of money overseas that shouldn't go overseas. If we can afford to do that stuff, we can certainly afford to have have the seniors who depend on Social Security benefit from some real relief. The other thing the Democrats don't want to talk about is they want to give Social Security and Medicare to illegal aliens. You want to worry about bankrupting these programs and throwing a generation of American seniors into poverty. That's what you'd be doing. But again, this is what Kamala Harris, this isn't me making it up. She is on TV in her own words saying she wants to give these programs to illegal aliens. It's complete insanity. And again, it drives home that if we just tell the truth about Kamala Harris, we're going to win this election because the American people have a lot of common sense.
Kamala Harris says she was in charge of the root causes of the border crisis. One of those root causes took place in Venezuela. They just had an election this past week. The State Department now is saying that they recognize the opposition candidate, Gonzalez, as the winner of that election. But the Maduro Election Commission says, no, he actually won. Which side do you lean on? Was this a stolen election in Venezuela?
Well, look, clearly a lot of problems in Venezuela. And by the way, Kamala Harris gave sweetheart deals to the Maduro regime in exchange for them having free and fair elections. Now they're not having free and fair elections. It's just another example of people taking advantage of the weakness of Kamala Harris's leadership. But by the way, talk about the root causes of migration. The root cause of illegal immigration in this country is that our border czar, Kamala Harris, doesn't do her damn job. We change that, we change illegal immigration.
Final question for you, Senator Vance. This past week, we saw a prisoner exchange out of Russia. 3 Americans returned home safely, but in exchange, the Biden White House had to coordinate giving back Russian spies and even a convicted murderer. Kamala Harris says, quote, "This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy." Your thoughts on that statement, and also, was this prisoner swap worth it?
Well, first of all, my thoughts on that statement are I don't know if she knows what she was talking about, but I sure as heck don't know what she was actually talking about. And again, this is the problem with Kamala Harris. She doesn't have any core convictions. So whenever she answers something in an unscripted way, it's just like it blows your mind. You're like, what is she actually saying? No one knows. I don't think she does either. Look, it's good that we have these Americans coming home, but I think it drives home the importance of Donald Trump's leadership. I think he would have gotten a much better deal. I think that, frankly, some of these people would have never been taken hostage. You talk about Evan, who's the reporter from the Wall Street Journal. I don't think he would have been taken hostage if Donald Trump had been president. So it drives home the problems with weak leadership. Strong leadership, you get better deals, and you have fewer of your people taken hostage.
Senator Vance, good luck the rest of the
Thanks,
way.
man.
Appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.